Welcome back to another episode of Questions with Crocker with me, Dr. Crocker. I'm an emergency veterinarian. I own a general practice in Fort Worth, Texas. I speak, I educate online, and have a good time on social media. And I am here to answer your questions. I just found through social media there's not enough time to answer some of the questions that everyone has, and so decided to start a podcast and share my journey. Now, normally I do this with my husband, but he's not able to be here today, so you are stuck with me alone by myself. If you want to watch the podcast, you can go visit us at Questions with Crocker on YouTube. And if you want to listen to us, you can find us on Spotify or Apple or wherever your podcasts are at. We also need more reviews. And so if you enjoy the podcast, you feel like it has value to you, we'd love you to leave us a review. Let us know what you love about it. And that way we can take a look at what you have to say. Speaking of reviews, I'm feeling a little spicy because the general practice that I own in Fort Worth, Texas, usually gets glowing reviews. And recently we got a 1-star review. And it was a little frustrating. I don't work there every day, and obviously I don't see all the clients, so didn't really know what the review was in regards to. But I'm the owner. I'm the one that gets the email about him. So I went and took a look at the file, and we had not seen this dog for months and months and months. It was originally seen for limping, and when it was examined, there was nothing obvious that was found, and it was discussed that it probably was a soft tissue injury. X-rays were discussed, and there was also a discussion about if X-rays were normal, that the pet might need to see a orthopedic specialist to see if there was something else going on. And I don't know the level of pain that this pet was experiencing because I didn't see originally, but it was sent home on pain meds and told to rest and restrict. Well, the follow-up call showed that the owner stated that the pet was still uncomfortable. And so it looks like pain meds were actually filled a couple different times. There was a discussion that the x-rays that had been taken did come back normal. And that unfortunately that meant there wasn't a definitive diagnosis and that the pet might have to go see a specialist because it was a front limb lameness and those are a little harder to determine what's going on. The owner, however, decided to leave a 1-star review saying that they spent all this money and they still didn't have an answer. So that's true. We didn't have a official diagnosis for this pet, but we did explain to them that there's certain things you can diagnose on x-ray. So you can diagnose fractures, you can diagnose arthritis. Sometimes you can see bony changes that are indicating there was trauma there, like ligament damage. Sometimes the angles will indicate that. But a lot of times if it's soft tissue doesn't show up on x-rays, only bone does. So x-rays are needed with a lameness because you need to rule out all the other things. But unfortunately, if it's a soft tissue injury, it might require something like an MRI, which actually looks closer at the soft tissue, or just another exam to determine what might be damaged. And unfortunately, if it's a soft tissue injury with something like a cranial-cruciate ligament or a meniscus, once those fibers tear and that cartilage tears or that ligament tears, it doesn't repair itself. And so it doesn't come back together like skin does. And so unfortunately, rest, pain meds, restriction, cold laser therapy, physical therapy, those are some of the things that we can offer these patients that have lamenesses that are soft tissue. But a lot of times we can't fix them. So before I reply online to 1-star reviews, I always want to get a full picture of what's going on. And I also always want to give the owners an opportunity to kind of let me know their side of the story. And so make sure our communication is clear, all of that. So originally, I put a phone call in to the owner and basically said, I was Dr. Crocker, I was the owner of the hospital, wanted to talk to him about their experience. Well, they emailed back, and the email basically said, you didn't fix my dog, and I'm going to be busy for the next 10 days, and I'm able to discuss this with you. So they had the time and energy to leave a 1-star review, but they're not so concerned about their dog that they actually want to talk about what else we could do or what else could be done. So I emailed back and just said, this was my understanding of what happened. We're happy to refer you. And basically they said I was never discussed referral, which the hard thing for me is if you're a pet owner and your pet has been limping for like a really long amount of time, would you not follow up? Like, would you not call back, or would you not, like, how do I know that your pet's not better at home over the last couple of months, right? So it's kind of frustrating that the level of concern was so high and the frustration was so high that it left a 1-star review, yet not high enough that they actually wanted to talk to me about what had happened and try to get this pet help. And so I basically just said, I'm sorry that we are not able to help you, that we haven't been able to serve your needs and communicate the way you want. And I will say that he was extra spicy and rude in his emails and very dismissive. And so I just said, like, we will send you your records and we're happy to, help with pain meds for the next couple of weeks till you can find a vet that better suits your needs. And so in a way, my philosophy is if an owner leaves a 1-star review and then they will not discuss it with you, what has gone down, then to me, the communication is broken, the trust is broken. And that means that we don't need to service them and their pet anymore. Fortunately, we live in an area that has a lot of vet hospitals available. So it's not like this pet is going to be on their own. But it is frustrating experience because I can't just reply the way I want on Google. I can't put exactly what our side of things are, and I have to try to be respectful. So I did reply, and I just kind of said, sorry you didn't have time to discuss this over the phone. Here's what we would recommend, and let us know if you need anything else. But just a frustrating thing, and I already feel like I'm feeling a little frustrated, overwhelmed in life. There's a lot going on. I'm trying to slow down, and it seems like with slowing down, there's just more things like piling on right now. So I don't think I'm hitting my goal of relaxing and slowing down more, but I am having something come up these next couple of days, which always makes me happy and fills my cup. So if you're watching us on YouTube, I am not wearing scrubs like I normally do. I am wearing a shirt and it has a little emblem on it that says CC. And this is for the Chisholm Challenge. So this is a passion project of mine that I am a part of and I'm on the board. And this is a horse show for equestrians with disabilities. And it is all levels of disabilities. So it is people that are very physically capable of riding a horse, but might have some other things going on. And then it's people that are in wheelchairs, it's kids, it's adults, it's veterans, non-veterans, and we do a lot of different classes. And the show is completely free to attend and watch it, and then also to be an exhibitor in. So we have to do a lot of fundraising for it. We have to have a ton of volunteers. And I actually started being a part of this quite a few years ago. I was asked to be on the board. And it is a couple of days where you get to go and see, one, the magic of horses and how healing they are to people, and that bond, how powerful it can be, and also how physically it can help people that need it. A lot of the freedom that people feel and just the strength and core strength they can develop from riding is really, really helpful. And then the emotional therapy side of it is also really beneficial. And I think it is weird because I think it emotionally benefits those of us that volunteer just as much as it benefits the riders and the people who are exhibiting with the horses. And these horses are the best horses in the world because they have wheelchairs and they have loud noises around them. And there's a lot going on, and they just handle it like a champ. So I will be there the next 3 days. I always like to show what's going on. I do all the promotional items for it. So I like to set up the table. We sell a lot of things to just try to raise a little bit of money and awareness about the show. But that is where I'll be for 3 days. That is what my content on social media will be about. And I am excited to highlight and show something that honestly, I think reminds me in one part, like why being a veterinarian is so important, because keeping these horses healthy and allowing these exhibitors to have the experience that they have and support them in that, it's one of the main reasons that I went into this profession. And I went into it to be a horse vet. So every time I get to go out to a horse show and be around horses all day long and be stinky at the end of the day and get to love on horses and see them and assess them and help out, it is a dream. And I also do let my kids skip school and come out with me because I think it's a great experience for my kids to also see and experience people who are different and see how much value and how much, love is shared at this event. So if you ever want to see a heartwarming experience, go visit the Chisholm Challenge Facebook page, check it out. And if you're in Texas and you ever want to volunteer, at one of the PATH centers that does and helps equestrians with disabilities. I highly, highly recommend it to have it fill your cup. Another thing that fills my cup is being around vet professionals. Surprise, surprise, as an extrovert, I don't feel like that's anything that people should not know about me already. And while I have a plan or a goal to travel less this year, I am very excited that at the end of this month, I am going to be at VMX. It is one of the biggest veterinary conferences in Orlando. It is very exciting. There's so many people there. There's going to be a lot of amazing social events, a lot of live events. Another podcast, the Veterinary Roundtable, is going to do an awesome nighttime interactive fun thing that I'm so pumped to see and meet people that I've known online for a while in real life. I think it's going to be a blast. And the other thing that is really nice about it is for the first time, I'm going to get to do a big workshop. And when I say workshop, I mean an interactive experience where we're going to talk and have a little bit of presentation just so we know and understand the basics of social media and vet med. But a majority of this workshop is going to be an amazing panel with experts and specialists in veterinary medicine that use social media platforms in their practices or personally to educate pet owners or to connect with other people in our profession. And I think it's good to hear from people that are doing it successfully and hear all the different ways that you can do social media, and it can benefit you personally and professionally. I do not think that I would be here today with a podcast, be speaking, be traveling, and doing a lot of the things that I'm doing without my presence on social media. And that is weird to say. I feel like my dad, who is obviously much older, still looks at me sometimes and is like, so you make money making videos online. And I'm like, well, it's not quite that straightforward because I'm not just a creator. I'm still a veterinarian. But yes, there is ways to monetize what I'm doing. But the bigger thing is there is ways to create community and to connect. And the value that I get from it just personally has really helped me honestly enjoy my career a lot more and helped me, I hope, make this career a little bit better for other people just by feeling more heard, seen, and helping with the education side of things. Every single time I post something and I talk about something and I have a veterinarian say, wow, that is me, or I feel seen, or I have a pet owner say, man, I didn't understand how hard the holidays were for vet med. I'm going to drop a treat off to my veterinarian at their hospital. I think that, or have somebody say, I didn't realize that that was something that's a big deal. I didn't realize my cat breathing heavy and breathing rapidly when they're resting could indicate a heart condition. I'm going to make sure I get them checked out by my vet. Those little things are the reason that I keep going and I keep doing social media. And so if you are going to be at VMX, I think this podcast is going to come out right before it. Only 50 people are going to get to be a part of this interactive workshop. It's going to be in the exhibit hall. It's going to be very fun. We're going to have a lot of amazing people there to help. And so if you want to be a part of this, you need to be there, get in line, and be one of the 50 people that's going to be allowed in here. We want to make sure we had enough room for as many people as possible, but not so many people that we couldn't break into small groups, create content, exchange ideas, share what we're doing on social media, and really encourage and learn from each other. So I want it to be educational. I want it to be interactive. That is the goal. And if it's something that you would ever want to learn more about, or you have even a little interest in, I would love to see you there. So Exhibit Hall Sunday, it's going to start at 9 a.m. at VMX, and I hope you can check us out. The other place you can find me at VMX, which I feel swanky saying, is the Lions Club. This is going to be another area in the Exhibit Hall that is going to be a cool area that you can go. You can set up your computer. You can have meetings. They're going to have food and snacks in there. And so you can pay to be a part of the Lions Club. You're also going to get a membership for Vetfolio, which is going to help you access all those amazing resources and webinars. Dr. Andy has a great training on there that you should check out for sure. They have a lot of medical resources and lots of 1-hour CE available. So definitely something that is worth the package price of the Lions Club to kind of get that extra special place that you can go and spend and kind of relax a little bit at the conference, and then also have a year-long benefit from it with the Vetfolio resources. So you should check that out also if you're planning to come to VMX, and I will definitely be in there and hopefully catching up and resting a little bit after the 4-hour workshop on Sunday. Other than that, at VMX, I'm just going to be hanging out, attending CE. I have another talk with DECRA. We're going to talk about Zenelpha. That is going to be on Tuesday morning, I think. It's at 6 a.m., which I am not a morning person. I work ER overnights. And so a morning event for me is honestly painful, and I hate it with every fiber of my being. Like, I would rather stay up till midnight every night and sleep a couple hours than get up early in the morning. Like, when I talk to people about working out and wanting to be in better shape, and they're like, oh yeah, I just like get up before my kids get up and I work out. I'm like, how? Why? Like, an extra 10, 15 minutes of sleep will make my whole day so much brighter and better. So if you ever see me in the morning anywhere, just know that the reason I'm like holding that coffee so closely and sucking it down is because I am a horrible morning person. And it takes me until about 10 a.m. to like really get going and moving. But I'm doing this 6 a.m. talk for DECRA. It is going to be an interactive panel. I'm very excited because there's going to be an anesthesiologist on it. Darcy Palmer from the Veterinary Anesthesia Nerds is going to be there. She has an amazing background, and I really enjoy talking about Zenelpha. I think it's underutilized in vet med. It is a sedative that you give in the muscle. I think it works great. And honestly, we use it for procedural sedation every day in our general practice hospital. So definitely something you should check out if you've heard about Zenelpha, but you're kind of like, what is that weird sounding word? And if I have Dexstorm, why would I need something else? And we will explain it all to you in medical terms, but also like clinically relevant information, which is always my goal at conferences. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but I sometimes have gone to conferences in vet med, and I have gone and listened to people that I've read about in books, people that are just incredible and amazing in research and all the knowledge they have. And I'll be honest, they're not great speakers. And I went to one talk, a cardio talk I was very excited about. And literally they spent the whole time telling us all the wrong things that we had been doing for so many years based off the new research and how this was wrong and that was wrong and we should change the way we thought about this. And they gave us no new information and no new way to do things. It was like they were so smart that they couldn't translate what was going on in their head to actually communicating it with people. And I think that's so important as a speaker, is to be able to communicate exactly what people can take away and then go in their practice the next day and talk about it and say, hey guys, I learned about this at the conference and I think it'd be really great if we could do A, B, and C. So all of my talks are always going to be with the goal that you can walk away and have that clinically relevant information. You can go back to your practice and you guys can talk about, like, is there something we want to try? Is this a protocol change we want to make? Is this a medication that we want to use? Could we be doing things better for our pet patients? And I highly, highly recommend that everyone come back from a conference and have some sort of team meeting to talk about what did we learn, what protocols might we want to change, or what might we want to try. I remember with the whole like metronidazole change saga, the data coming out saying if you did use metronidazole or if you didn't, they were having the same outcomes with a lot of the diarrhea cases and kind of when to use it and that it's overused. I remember people like clutching their pearls and being like, oh my gosh, these dogs will never get better without metronidazole. And my theory, and I think because it's worked, so I've worked so many places, is I'll try anything. Like I'll try it with a couple cases. I'll try not to use it and I'll see how does it go, because honestly, it either works or it doesn't. And what I found is it still worked. I still was seeing improvement in these cases in the same amount of time without using metronidazole. So I was able to change my thought process and my protocol, but it's because I was willing to try it and not just disregard it based on anecdotal evidence that I had experienced for, 10 plus years. So highly, highly encourage people to have a conversation about what they hear. And you might try something and say, that doesn't work for me and doesn't work for our practice. But I think that's one of the cool things about our profession is how quickly things are changing and how much information's coming out. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but sometimes it can definitely make you better as a veterinarian and as a veterinary team, because technicians should also be able to come back from a conference and say, hey, I went to this talk and I did this and we could do this better and this would be really cool. And hey, this kind of monitor is better for the patients and is more accurate. And they can bring back information also. And I think as leadership in a practice, we should make sure that people feel really comfortable sharing those things with us. All right. So this podcast is based off of questions that you sent me. And because I'm doing the social media workshop, I actually asked people, like, what are some of the things that you would like to know in the workshop? And I felt like because not everyone's going to get to be at VMX, boo, it would be good to answer some of those questions on here. And obviously, I'll be able to answer more in depth at the conference itself. But I do think that it would be good to answer some of them on here. That way, if people can't attend VMX, they have a little bit of information. So at Dr. Terrell Pet Vet, hi, Whitney. She's going to be at VMX. So excited. Wanted to know, how do you feel about hiring outside help or creating marketing content in-house? And I would say, it depends. I've seen some amazing accounts recently where you can tell that they hired somebody outside to come in and create content, or they have hired a full-time position for it. Ep65 is one of the main ones I can think about. I do think that oh my gosh, I just lost the other one that I was thinking of. Oh, Rock and K Vet. They have an outside group that helps them and their content is fire. So I do think that you can tell when someone is very intentional about hiring someone to come in and create content and be very consistent with it and really be aware of the brand and the audience and really engage with people. And I do think that if you have the resources and the money to hire somebody who knows what they're doing, that is very, very valuable. I do the social media, a lot of it for my hospital. But what I do is I consult with Harrison King of King Media, and I basically have him come in and he'll batch content with me. So we'll film a couple of things while we're in the hospital. He's also helped me film some ads that I can run for the hospital because his content he creates is just really, really great. He does my podcast for me. So he is a resource to talk about what direction the content needs to go in, how is it doing, a creative resource for me. But I would say 80% of it on my own with the filming and with putting it out there. And for me, I just don't have the funds right now to hire somebody full time for a smaller practice. Now, obviously, if your hospital is able to do it, or if you feel like it's a good investment, I would 100% say doing it is valuable, because knowing how the algorithms work, knowing when to post, being able to look back and say that worked, or I need to do this consistently, you will grow faster, I think, and it will be better if somebody can come in and help you with it. However, I do think it has to be very authentic content. So if you hire somebody and they're just putting up like graphics occasionally, or you send them pictures of the team and they put that up, and there's no video-based content, there's no stories throughout the day on Instagram, I think that it doesn't feel as engaging and as authentic. So if you're truly going to jump in and hire somebody, then I think occasionally they need to be on site, and that way you can get really great content, or you need to have somebody on site that can really be intentional about getting it to really grow on social media and connect with the pet owners that you want to connect with, or the fellow vet professionals you want to connect with. At Samantha_Tyrone wanted to know, what made you want to do social media and how did you gain your following? So the first part of the question is easy. I basically was on social media and I kept seeing posts about people saying like, they regret becoming a veterinarian. They wish they hadn't gotten into veterinary medicine. And I just kept thinking like, that's not my experience. That's not my story. I still really love what I do. And I've been really intentional about creating a job and creating the way that I work that works for me and works for my family. And so I honestly started it just to talk about like job joy and being intentional in your choices in vet med, so that you would still love what you do. And the following honestly just came through. I think me talking about things that people connected with and then really being intentional about following other people and really reading what they were putting out there and interacting and not just doing things for the followers. So I guess sharing and being vulnerable about my experiences helped people connect with me a little bit better. And then I kind of found what flow worked through what videos were popular and which ones weren't, what people enjoyed. A lot of people loved that I did cases, and that's still one of the most popular things that I do on stories. And so really leaning into the things that people responded to helped me gain a following faster. And then being consistent with posting. Do I post every day, several times a day? No. Was there a time period where I did that? Yes, especially on TikTok, which is how I grew so big and so fast on there in the time period that I did. But I do think just being very relatable is helpful. And that does not mean that I do not have haters. So I think that the other question you asked, Samantha, is a good one. Any lashback professionally for your posts when people disagree, or have you ever had a bad review? So no, thank goodness I've not had a bad review. And I've actually had people come and find me at my general practice because of my online presence. I really enjoy doing surgery. And so I've had people locally searching for things to help their pet and then find out that I do different procedures and actually booked with me. And I have some amazing clients that have found me through social media. I've not had any that have come and seen me and then left bad reviews. And so that has been great. I also sometimes get recognized at the emergency hospital. And a lot of times, I think I read a statistic the other day that pet owners are 176% more likely to have accounts for their pets. And it's like a crazy number. And so a lot of times if people recognize me and people say anything about it, I will ask if their pet has a social media or if they do, and they actually enjoy like me tagging or talking about their pet online. So I haven't had lashback from pet owners. However, professionally, it can be really, really rough. Every time I put up a medical post, I am counting down, like literally counting down the minutes until someone picks something apart from the post. And it can be like a funny post and someone will still say, you put your gloves on wrong, or you did this, or that's not right in the background, or that pet this. I mean, it's clockwork that someone's going to say something. And so I'm pretty used to that side of things. I did also have an experience last year that was really tough where there was a group of veterinary professionals that were very unhappy with some things that I had shared and said. And so then we're kind of watching every post that I made and reposting and talking about how horrible I was and how arrogant I was, and how I was hurting the profession with this and that. And it felt a little bullying. It felt like a lot. And unfortunately, I was able to kind of get through that experience. And the hard thing is those people are still in our profession and you can't just get away from them completely. And so I've just learned to have I've always had a thick skin. I've just learned that it's going to happen and I have a thick enough skin. And I think the value of what I'm doing is worth any negativity I get from the profession in general. And I think I've created enough of a following and a community that it's interesting now when somebody comes in and says something negative about me or about our profession, I almost don't have to reply or react because there's so many other people that are willing to step in and say like they know me personally and what the person's saying is wrong, or, back each other up in general. So I think creating that community, you get less negativity, but do not be on social media if you do not have a thick skin, because you can post a kitten and butterflies and someone will tell you that the kitten and butterflies should not be together in the room. And that is just how the internet works. So you do have to be very aware of that and okay with that if you are posting online for social media. And we're going to talk about how to handle the negativity in the workshop for sure, because I think that is a very, very big part of it. The last question I'll answer is at Melissa Torres said, do you ask every owner for consent when it comes to their pets, ultrasounds, x-rays, etc.? I think that's a really, really great question. I think that there is easy ways to do it. So I actually have a sheet of paper that all new clients sign that basically says yes or no. We can use their pet images and information for online and educational purposes. And so that allows me to be able to post them for like sweater weather, post if it's cold outside and they wear something cute, but also be able to post if I took an ultrasound of their bladder and there was a bladder stone. Now, a lot of times if I do x-rays and ultrasounds, I don't actually share who the pet is. I'm sharing more the image and using it for education. And so I don't tell every owner like, hey, I'm going to use this ultrasound, but I also don't have anything identifying in a lot of those things. And I would say in the emergency room, all the things that I record where pets are throwing things up, or I'm pulling socks out of booties, or there's, surgical procedures, or just pictures with, babies after C-sections, owners are aware that all those things are being done. And honestly, I've had a ton of owners say like, can you drop that to me? Can you share that image? Can you share that video? And so I think once you've done it enough, you are aware of like who does and doesn't want you to share information. And it makes it easier. But no, I don't go over the top with like, hey, your pet was in a video in the background of this thing. Are you okay if I put it online? I think you just have to be smart and kind of read the room, and then you can have something like a blanket statement about videos and images if you really want, and that makes you feel better. I personally think our world has changed and everyone knows there's cameras everywhere. I have owners that film me while I'm talking about things or while I'm doing things to their pets. I think the transparency is great. I know there's a lot of vets that are uncomfortable with it, but I would rather somebody show exactly what I'm doing or me have a video of something that happened and be able to combat any misinformation of what actually happened. So it's a new world we're in. I think we need to learn to navigate it better. You can learn that by coming to my workshop at VMX, last plug for it. And if you enjoyed this podcast today, I would appreciate it if you would follow us at Questions with Crocker on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Leave a review if you are able. I love your feedback. Keep sending me questions, keep listening, keep interacting. I love the community we've created on here, and I hope you have an amazing day. I'm headed to the horse show, and I know I'll have one.